Good morning, everybody. Welcome to AMES Facebook Live. My name is Mark Wilson. We're here in Suwanee, Georgia. I'm going to flip the camera around and let my buddy Ray here. That's Ray.
Buenos dias. Good morning.
He's gonna follow me on the camera this morning.
Camera guy.
You're the camera guy now. Yeah, it's your turn. So I don't know. This one's a little bit loose, Ray, but welcome again to Facebook Live. This is AMES. This is the second step or second set of our session for our workshops, as we call them, workshops. Our first workshop, we did the automatic bazooka taper for taping corners, flats, joints, butt joints. Today we're going to be boxing, the first coat. Some people call it the first coat. We'll be doing that. I want to just remind everybody that with these workshops, we're doing two sessions. We're doing English, which is what I'll be doing. Mark will be doing the English sessions, and my partner, Ronaldo, he's going to be doing the Spanish sessions. So an hour, at 10 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock now, 8 till 9, I'll be doing the English, and from 10 till 11 in Espanol. So Ray will be doing that, I'm doing English. So if you guys are watching, and you're watching in Spanish, if you have any questions, certainly shoot us the question. Ray can answer those. Or if you want to go to the 10 o'clock, he'll be doing the same thing I'm doing, but in Spanish. So just so you know that. We got a lot of people asking about the different languages. So anyhow, let's get started. Before I get too far, I want to remind everybody today, just during the session, we have a promotion going. So if you're watching this, just send a message to our Facebook team. Today's word is easy clean. Easy clean is the word of the day, and you can get a discount of 10% off an item from your local store, your AMES store. So send a message. The team will send you some instructions on how to get that discount, where to get it, and all that. And it's good. You have to apply the discount before Friday, this Friday, which is March the 5th, I believe. Yeah, March the 5th by 5 o'clock. I think it's 5 p.m. exactly. But if you got any questions, let us know. We can get that. But it's a good discount if you're looking to buy something just for watching. You can get a discount code. So that being said, Ray's going to follow me. One more thing. Apologize for the sound yesterday. It was my fault. We didn't have the right connection with our Bluetooth speaker and the phone. We had that deactivated. So very sorry for that. Things happen, but we've got it set up today. I hope we have better sound with the microphone and the unit on the phone, the video camera. So sorry again for that. We got it hooked up. We got Ray hooked up, so good to go. So there you go. Watching what we're doing today, the tools that I'm going to be using today will be the loading pump. So we use the loading pump for the bazooka, and we had the gooseneck on here. So we removed the gooseneck when we cleaned it. Now, to fill the rest of the tools for the rest of the process, for the embedding coat, the first coat, the second coat, the skim coat, whatever you call it, we'll be using this filler adapter. And this filler adapter attaches the same way. You just slide it in like so. And we have this little tether here, this little cable's tethering the. If you see where it's attached here, you can loop it through if you don't want to lose this. So I'm just going to do that one more time. So this just loops in like this, slides on top, and then we can tighten these nuts on here. Got my handy wrench. We certainly recommend a wrench as opposed to pliers. Pliers, you're never going to get it really tight. A wrench, you can snug it down. This isn't a very expensive wrench, but if you lose it, you can just buy another one. But just want to be able to tighten these up. Okay. So the filler adapter has two functions. It has a duck bill for filling the boxes, like the nail spotters and the boxes themselves. And you can use the O-ring here to fill the corner applicators, mud runners, mud running tools. But this just slides into here. This just pops in. There's an O-ring that keeps this in place. If that O-ring is leaking, you need to replace it, but this is a very simple part to fit in. Okay, so the duck bill is what we'll be using today to fill the boxes and the nail spotter. We did replace our screen on the bottom with a fine screen. So this fine screen is, it'll filter out more material that if you have some trash or some things that'll scratch the joint, it'll filter it out a little bit better than our original one was the coarse one when we were taping. So we replaced that with a fine screen for boxing. One thing that a lot of our customers do is they rent two pumps. They'll have a pump with the gooseneck. They just leave the gooseneck on there and the screen, and they have a crew that's taping. They have another crew maybe that's doing a boxing with the filler adapter always attached. You can use all your tools that way. It's just a suggestion. If you're a smaller crew and you can switch it really quick, it's not a problem. But if you're doing multiple jobs or you've got a large job, two pumps is a good thing because you can utilize all of your tools when you're doing that. So remember that. So our pump's set up to go. Just a quick overview of the boxes. These are our standard flat boxes. Everybody that knows these have seen these before. We have an axle with some wheels, okay? We have a blade here, and this is where the material goes in. We'll show you that in a minute. We have this neat feature called the crown height adjustment. This adjuster goes from 1 to 5, and it puts pressure on the blade, on the blade holder with these two little posts right here. And if you start at a lower number, say it's on 1, or if you take off the pressure, this is very flexible. It'll leave the maximum amount of joint compound, okay? So 0 or 1 is usually for embedding, like we'll be doing today, and I'll show you the differences. The finish coats usually are on 3 or 4 ladder finish coats. You'll go up in number. So the higher the number, the less material. And it's because it puts more pressure on this blade that kind of scrapes the material off instead of leaving material on the joint. And on a finished joint, this material will be crowned, and when it dries, it'll shrink up. So it'll be flat, nice and flat, nice flat finish. We have the pressure plate on the back with the wiper, and these are where we attach our handles. I'll show you that. And we have 2 springs. You know, the springs basically retract the pressure plate. A lot of people take these springs off. They'll take one off or all of them. They don't want to be pushing against that. I see that quite often, it's not really a problem if you're running the box. It may leak a little bit down here because this plate is held in place with these 2 springs. So these springs actually hold this plate in place. So you're pushing on it, and it's pivoting down here in the bottom down here. You can see that. If you take them off, you might have a little bit of leaking at the bottom, but not too much. It really doesn't affect how the tool runs, but it will make it maybe a little easier for you to push. These little latches keep this open. Now on the AMES box, you can flip these latches up, and the box can be opened to clean. You can kind of see that. And then when we push it back, I'm just going to push this back in, push it in. Now, sometimes when we push it back in, our wiper will bind right here. You just take your finger and push it, or a screwdriver, and close it down, and you're all set to go. One thing that I like to do before I start boxing, certainly bazooka oil. I know a lot of people use WD-40. WD-40 it's a great product, but for our tools it doesn't lubricate too well, and worse off, it'll loosen screws and fasteners. So if you have tools, things may come loose easier because it penetrates in. We're trying to lubricate. We're trying to make things move more easy, softer. I like to spray a little bit of oil on my wiper, just a little bit here and on the side. So this is easily moving. So you can see the oil, and it makes the rubber very pliable, very soft to move. Another place that I'll put a little bit of oil on is right on the axle, just on the wheel, not on the wheel, the rubber itself, just on the nut, the screw where it attaches. Just makes that wheel spin nice and easy. Okay, so bazooka oil, it's a great product. A little goes a long way. You don't have to spray. WD-40, you got to spray it a lot all day. I see people with gallons and they spray it on, and it wears off. It dissipates pretty quick. This is an oil that lubricates and it stays on there longer. It's a good product. So this is our regular standard flat box. This is our what we call extra high capacity box. It has the same features. It's basically the same box. We have the same blade. We have the crown adjustment 1 through 5. You know, same pressure plate. It's a little bit bigger. The springs are the same. You push against them. The big difference is it's hinged. So on this box, when we open these little tabs, you can kind of see that this just hinges on there. It's not pressed in with the springs. So it's different in the way it acts. It does the same thing, but it's a hinged pressure plate as opposed to just a seated pressure plate. The wheels on this box are unique. We're changing our fleet over. If you can kind of see this, I'm gonna raise that pretty close. These are for running corner beads, outside corners. The standard wheels on the flat box, you can see they don't have that. So these are being converted over we have a very large fleet of tools. So as you can imagine, we're changing as fast as we can. These will be used for running corner beads, outside corners, so it doesn't wear on the axle. So you can just run this down the corner. Some people run corner beads or trims with the boxes, and this helps keep that nice and flush on the corner bead. It doesn't wear out. This is a special material for that. Here you would just it would wear out your axle on that. There's products out there, I think they're called bead boxers. People attach their aftermarket, people put them on, but you don't need those on anymore. These are just fitted on here like so. So high capacity box, we'll demo this. It's just used for, you can go further with your joint compound. You don't run out as often. Again, I spray a little bit of oil, just a little bit on this pressure plate so it's smooth. Make sure it presses real easy. We don't want to put oil on here because this is where our attachment is for the handles, which I'm going to show you now. That'll make it slide off. So the range of box handles at AMES, we have 3 different types of handles. We have our standard fixed length, handle where it's basically fixed at one length. This handle comes in 4 sizes. You'll have this one is in particular is a short one. It's 34 inches. You have 42 inches, 54, and 72. 72 inches is really tall, generally used for ceilings. These are usually used for joints that are laid down because you don't really need to reach high with them. It's very easy to reach. The taller, the 54, maybe for commercial jobs, vertical joints. The handle itself has a plate that attaches to the box, like so. I'm just going to tap these up here a little bit. Let's see if I can do this real easy. And then these wing nuts basically just tighten up. You can tighten these up by hand. A lot of people will take a knife and they'll tap. I've got a screwdriver here, but they'll tap these down just a little bit to make them secure. Or you can take a pair of pliers. Pinzas in español, pinzas, yeah. And just tighten this up just to make them tight so they don't come loose, because this is getting some pressure on it when you're using this during the day, okay? This little adjustment right here, you can kind of zoom in on that. I don't know if you can see this. This adjustment adjusts your brake grip. So, I don't know if you can see that this right here. So if you turn this more or less, you can adjust the height of this. So if your hand is bigger and you need this to be further up, you can adjust this up. Or if you have a smaller hand and you want this down, you can move this down closer with that adjustment. It's a pretty neat little adjustment. So for your hand adjustment, okay? The box handle itself, what the principal idea behind it is, it holds the box, and by squeezing this handle, what we call the brake, it'll lock the box in position. So if we let go, the box will fall down, okay? If we're approaching a wall and we don't have the brake, we would have some problem. But if we want to approach it right, we lock it in position, we put it onto the wall, and then when we start to move, if you can watch my hand, I release the pressure and then move down the joint. When we get ready to stop, just like in your car, you apply the brake and you sweep off, and you keep it locked in position. Again, if I don't have the brake on, it'll just fall down. Pretty important when you're doing ceilings, because you need to have that angle, brake angle at that angle to start. And then once you start moving, you release the brake and just push on the box, and it will stay up there until you stop and want to come off. Then you squeeze the brake and sweep off. The last feature on the handle is this little ball here. This little ball has a small thumb screw. You can move this up and down on the handle, and you can pull if you need something to give you some grip. Some people move it right out of the way. Some people have it up here. Some people put it to where their hand is right here so they have something to grip. And that's what the purpose of that ball is on there, okay? The other handles that we have, move this here, we have a bent handle, if you will. It's the same handle. Everything is the same exact as the straight handle. It doesn't have a ball. There's no ball on here. And basically it has this curve, this little curve right here. And the idea of the curve is to help you to run if you're doing a top angle or a joint, put extra pressure, pull this off here, onto the pressure plate. So again, we'll just tighten this up. Tighten these on. The nice thing about these tools, they're rental tools. If you have a problem, if you drop them, if there's an issue, one thing about AMES rentals is you can always exchange these tools. They're easily exchanged. You can keep going. You don't have to worry about repairing or being downtime. If you own tools and you want to add some to your tool set, you need extra guys, or you can actually ramp up your tools, rent them for a couple months, and then bring them back. It's a good option, rental tools. So you can kind of see the angle here. Is that pretty good, Ray, how I got that? So if I'm at the top of the wall, I have this extra pressure that gives me the pressure I need here on the pressure plate, right on here. So I'm able to push easier with this elbow, okay? So that's a type of handle that we have. I'll take this off and show you the extendable. Probably our most popular handle, I think by far, is the extendable handle. And the extendable handle is basically the same thing. Okay, we have the same concept. It's a little bit bigger grip because we have an internal extruded part that is like a tab lock. You push this button and we can adjust this out up to different heights. 63 inches, I think, is the total height of the handle. But if you need it smaller, you can just push the button, the tab, and go down. So if you're doing a small ceiling and then you need to do a tall ceiling, you can extend out to the size you need, okay? And we have 4 different sizes: the initial size, 2, 3, and then 4, the extended size. So pretty good handle. The features on this grip, the grip adjuster on this is a little bit different. You actually adjust that down here. So if you're looking to increase this or lower this, oh, there goes the brake bell. We always catch the brake bell. We're at our manufacturing facility here in north of Atlanta, and we have a great group of people out here that clean, wash, and put these tools back out. We're so grateful for them for what they do. But they have a bell, and it's really loud. So if you hear that, sorry about that. So it's a bell that is a brake bell for our staff here. The adjustment here is just to adjust this grip up or down, again, depending on the size of your hand, okay? We have the tab lock. At the top, we have this grip here. It's kind of to grab. It's something to grip. There's no ball on this, so it gives you something to kind of hang on to. And then at the top up here, we have the plate where it connects. It's just a connection plate. One thing about this plate, and we're going to be doing other workshops on maintenance and things, there is an adjustment that you can make. And we have a lot of people that they bring this back after maybe a month and they say, hey, the brake's not holding. You know, there is an adjustment for this brake. And there's a small spot right here. I don't know, that's pretty good, Ray. It's a small nut. You'll loosen this nut and then you'll tighten this hex fitting. And then you just turn it like a quarter turn, half turn, and that'll adjust the brake. So it'll increase the cost, it'll pinch and hold. It just gets worn. I mean, it's a wear part, and you can adjust it very easily in the field. Again, we want to see you. We want you to come in the store and exchange. That's what tools are all about. But if you're on the job and it's early in the morning and your brake isn't working, to break away and come see us, you can do that later in the day. But if you want to know how to adjust this, you can adjust this very easily. And we'll be doing workshops on basic maintenance, field maintenance, how to change these things out or exchange or replace them. So this handle is the extender handle. We'll show you that in a minute. I think we're going to move over to the joint compound with our bucket of mud and our pump and get ready to box. So we have ready mixed joint compound. We've already mixed this material, and it's all, I would say, we probably, for a full bucket, we probably start with a probably more than maybe 20 ounces, maybe 18 to 20 ounces to start with for a bucket. If you're using a box of joint compound and you're mixing in, there's less material in a box than there's a bucket, so adjust accordingly. The key is, and again, all joint compounds are similar, but some are different, the way they act. When you mix them, sometimes they're very thin with the water, some take more, some take less. Just check with your manufacturer and see what they say about how much. And it says right on there the recommendations, or you can go online and look as well. But for this box, we've had, I think we put about 18 ounces of water. We've used some already, so it's down a little bit into the box. The pump, into the bucket, not the box. The pump itself, again, we're not putting it like this. We're putting it like here. The cylinder just slides into the bucket like so. Unlike the bazooka, if you pump air into the bazooka, we're going to have issues with the tape, with blisters and things that we don't want to do. We don't want to really pump air, but if we do, it's not as big a problem. You'll push it out with the box. The pressure tool doesn't really affect that. So if you get air, it's not as big a deal, but try to keep your bucket full. Again, before I start, I'm going to prime this, make sure we get a little bit of material in here, and it will come out just a little bit if you can see it. I'm trying to get it where I don't drip it. There, you can see it right there. So when it comes out, we're ready to go. So we're going to fill the box through here, this opening. And I tend to hold the box like so. I don't know, can I get a good picture on that, Ray, where I'm holding this? The thing I don't want to do is pushing in. I don't want to be pushing in on this pressure plate and half fill my box. So make sure you hold it properly. And the best way, some people, that's a method I've seen people use. That way it keeps this plate all the way open. I don't like to hold the handle up like that. I just let it sit. And I hold my hand on the back plate and just kind of push. Put the duckbill filler valve into the box, and then visually, I like to start at one side, and when that's full, I move to the middle, and then I move to the other side, which is this is the left for me. And once I see that it's full, I go to the wall. The box initially will fill up with more material, so it'll take more pumps to fill the box when you first start. after that, there's always going to be some material inside the box, so you'll never totally empty it out. You'll see when you clean it, there's going to be some material inside of here, okay? So, go to the wall. Ray's going to follow me. I hope I'm not walking too fast. So, we taped these joints. Originally, we taped these joints. They're dry. It's important before you box to make sure your tape is dry. Okay, I know I've seen people tape it and box over it. It's going to shrink in, so we recommend you always tape it, let it dry, or get it dry as much as possible. We prefer it to be totally dry, cured dry, because it's not going to move. This joint is sealed. It's not moving. If it's wet and you're pushing on the box, the joint's going to move a little bit. You're going to have that center part. It's just not going to finish right. So make sure your tape's dry before you move on. Some people use, we had a question the other day about setting compounds on these joints. And with our crown adjustment, it's developed for air drying compounds. So as air drying compounds are put on with our box, there's a slight crown, it's slight. And as it dries, it's flat. The setting compounds in 45 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, they don't have that opportunity. They won't shrink. They'll be crowned. So you actually, when you're boxing with that material, you need to starve that joint a little bit less, but most people don't do that. We recommend that you don't use that setting compounds in our tools, but if you are, you're going to have to do some different things, different technique. Maybe we'll talk about it on a different session, but these joints are important to be dry. So I've got my crown adjustment on 1. Body position is important. There's lots of different techniques. Some people are taller, some people are shorter. You have to bend your knees. You don't have to. The idea is make it easier for you and let your body do some of the work. So when I'm pulling up the bottom, I personally like to pull up the bottom and then the top down second. And the reason is my lap mark is smaller. If I pull, let's say I pull the top and then I pull the bottom up, I'm going to have a bigger lap mark here, which I want to reduce that. For viewing and sanding, whatever. I want to keep it down low. I don't want to have a lap mark up here where I can see that lap mark when it's finished. Even if it's sanded and maybe I miss it when I'm sanding or the sander misses it, we want to keep it down out of eyesight if we can. Just a suggestion. So the box handle, again, this is a short box handle. I prefer to stand sideways. I bend my knees a little bit. I lean into the wall. And I just stand up. And then you can see I pulled it up about, probably halfway between my knee, a little bit, maybe 8 inches above my knee to right here. And then I sweep off with the brake. And then now I'm going to do the top part. At the top, I'm going to put the box on the wall and just lean it onto the wall. And I'm leaning into it. When I reach here, I'm just going to sweep off. If I don't like it, I need to run it again. I just push it on the wall like this and then sweep off. Now you can see it's a nicely finished joint. There's no edging. Very little wipeout. The lap mark's fairly small. It's at the bottom. So I shouldn't have to wipe too much. There is one thing I do have to wipe, or I do have to check. I don't want to leave it. And it's at the very top. Well, it could be at the bottom. If I have any issues here at the bottom, which this is pretty smooth, I do need to kind of pull that up a little bit. If I don't like my lap mark, maybe I pull up and smooth that out, just to make it smaller, if you want it that way. Now, at the top, let me get my stool here. We have a corner right here. This is where we're going to be finish coating this. So we don't want to leave a gap between the top and where I boxed. Hopefully I got it pretty close, but if I didn't, I need to make a little bit of material up here and just fill that in. Okay? There's the material filled in all the way across. If I have a gap there, when I run the corner finisher, mud runner, corner applicator, I'm going to have a bump there. I don't want that. I want that to be seamless, smooth, okay? So looking at the joint, if you have a problem, if you see something, if you have air bubbles or scratches or you have something in there that looks bad, you definitely have to wipe it. You can't leave it. If you don't have to wipe it, you don't have to wipe it. You can leave it. If you wipe it, I'm just going to show you on this one, keep it nice and flat. And what we do is we take very little off the material, okay? So this top part up here, you can kind of see where I kept it flat, and then just smooth all the way down, if you have to wipe it, okay? Good? Got a question?
You want to run on 0?
Oh yeah, yep, I'm going to show that. So this joint is filled in, very little, excuse me. Again, if you don't have to wipe it, leave it alone, check your intersection, check your bottom, because you're going to run another box over this. We don't want to have a lot of extra. So a point that Ray's making, it's a good point, is that was on 1. So my crown setting on that finished joint was on 1. If I run this joint, let's say, can I run it right? Maybe I'll run it right here. If I run this on 0, you can kind of see 0. And then I'm just going to do it on 2, just to show you the differences. So that's on 2. So there, you can see the difference in the material, how much more is here and how much, less on that. So for first coats, initial coats, you're going to run this box on a lower number, on a 0, I would say 0 or 1, because you want to fill in that recess so that when it shrinks, it's flat. We don't want to have a joint that doesn't have any material on it. Okay? I'm going to run this joint. This actually isn't a joint. We just taped this yesterday to show a lateral taping of a joint, but you're going to probably see this, so I'm just going to box over it on 0 to show you the box running sideways. So we put the tool on. One thing that you're going to do a lot, this is something that is your blade. You're going to be cleaning this blade off. It's running over paper, over joint compound. You're going to have some buildup there. So you're always going to be cleaning this little spot right here where the skid, and we call these little side pieces skids on the side. People call them a lot of things, really. They call them shoes. I don't know. Shoes is a proper word. It's not a proper word for AMES. We invented these tools. This is called a skid. So if you ask for some, if you order some, a lot of people will know shoes, but if somebody doesn't, the real name is a skid, okay? So they're on the side here, the blades, but you're always going to be cleaning this off right here, and there should be a little part right here where your fingernail catches, and that's what wipes out this nice edge right here as you're running it. So onto the wall, put it onto the joint. Now, again, I'm just leaning into this, walking sideways, sweep off at the end, okay? If I walk, let's say I'm doing this sideways again, and I don't do the brake right and I come off, we're going to have that extra amount of material. We don't want that. We just want to wipe it off nice and smooth, sweep it off. That's what the brake is for. That's how the brake works, okay? On butt joints. So butt joints are, some people run, this is not a butt joint. I think this is a regular joint. Some people will run the joint. Let me actually wipe this off and run this one again. This is a good example of where to run a butt joint. So let me clean this off. I've had people tell me you can't run a box over a butt joint, and it's really not true. Certainly there are some that you can't. You have to finish, by hand. But if you can, what we like to do is run just below the tape. So run here, and then run above the tape. I'm running out of material. And now I've run over my tape there, so my joint compound's a little bit wet. But the idea is, I'm going to just clean this a little bit down here so you don't see that, is that this middle right here is, I'm just going to clean this off because I ran that earlier. I should have ran this as a butt joint. But you're building it out here, here, and here, so that when we can run the box right back down the middle, you have a nice flat joint. It'll be wet now. You can't do that. You just have to make sure we clean into the corner where we run into the corner. Okay. So a lot of people will go through and do the whole job this way. They'll run both sides, then they'll come back and run the middle with the box. If you're in a job site where you can't do that, I'm going to leave this because we might do this maybe tomorrow when it dries. A lot of people will take their knife and fill it in right then, and that's understandable because you're in a rush. You're in a hurry. You got to make the job. But if let's say you have a whole apartment building full of butt joints, and you have a little bit of time to do that, go through and do them all like this. Let's say it's hot or it's warm, and you can turn immediately back through. So you go through all your floor and you do all these, then you go back through and run the middle after that dries. If it dries. If it's not, you can put a knife on it and run it out at that time. But the boxes fill in really nice. They do a nice job on butt joints. You just have to run the 10, 10, then down the middle, 12, 12, and 12 down the middle. If you have a 7-inch box, some people do that, you have to run it a little bit differently. Some people run the 7 down the middle, 7 up here, and then the 7 down here. Then you got to go back down. It's another step because it's so small. But the 10-inch works really well on these type of joints. Okay. The one more joint I want to run is a ceiling. Let me just move. back a little bit. A sealing joint. Actually, I got to get a little more material, Ray. Hang tight for a second. Let me get some material. We just, you know the boxes. You guys will use a lot of material when you're using the boxes. You'll fill up a joint every 16 to 18 feet. You'll fill up a box every 16 to 18 feet. So on the ceiling here, I've taped a joint. It's really not a joint. It's just for tape for there. So I locked my box. Okay, you can see here I got a little bit extra material. I'm going to clean that off, wipe it onto that. Lock the box in the angle that you want. You can see I got it locked in position. I put it onto the ceiling. I'm just going to start right here. Now I let off my brake and then I walk. Just walking. Now I sweep my brake off here. I actually keep the brake on and just turn around, put the box up onto the corner and sweep off. Does a pretty good job. You can reach from the floor. I gotta say, most people use the boxes. In North America and Canada, there are some people that still do it by hand. Ceilings are tricky because gravity. The material wants to fall, you gotta put it up there, you gotta feather it. This tool puts it on, feathers it all in one pass. And you really can't beat the efficiency of the boxes. They're pretty widely used. I've used these tools since the early 80s myself. So great tools. The box does a good job. I'm going to connect the Easy Clean boxes to show you that one as well, maybe on a joint, and we can demo through that. We got any questions? Anybody? No? Nothing yet? Okay. If you guys have any questions ever, you can always write us a question. We'll answer later in the session, or we'll answer it offline. You can go to amestools.com for information. You can always send us a message if you have any questions. Training. Ray and I, that's what we do. We're training and education. We teach the trade, the drywall industry is what we're all about, mentoring and showing people how to use these tools properly. Okay, so I'm going to hook up the Easy Clean box to the extender handle. See if I can make some room. So I've got the extender handle here in my box. I'm going to slide it up. Just tighten these wing nuts on a little bit. I say, what most people do, you guys that run boxes know, they'll just take on this little wing nut, just tap these a little bit. That just taps them in place so they don't come loose. Pretty common. So I'm gonna put this on one, walk over to the pump. We can fill up the same. It takes quite a bit more in this tool. So you fill it the same way. We got the same mouth right here, and what you got to do is fill it the same way as you do a regular box. It just takes a lot more material because it's got a larger capacity. Okay? You can see how much bigger it is. The handle itself, if I want to drop it down to do an extension, just bring it down to a different length, I can do that, and I'm all set to go. So if I'm doing this top joint right here, I can put the box on the wall, sweep off. Now, if you see right here where there's a scratch, so I picked up something on that top angle, a little piece of dry material. It happens. You just clean off your blade, just clean it off. Sometimes I just wipe it on here just to get it off the blade. And then go back, do it again. When you intersect, see where my wheels are right by that joint? Now I'm going to sweep off, pull my brake off, my wheel, and sweep off. Okay? You don't want to run your wheels into that. Hopefully, if you're running joints like this, you're doing them this way first and then that way. You don't want to have this little gap right here. This is just a demonstration, but if we had a finished joint and we didn't finish it all the way down, we're going to have a shallow spot there. So we got to make sure that when we pull this joint, we pull this one all the way through, and then we pull this joint. Okay? This is for demonstration. This is a demo booth, so on a real job, you probably wouldn't have all these joints, but this is the way you're supposed to do it. If you run it short right here, you're going to see that when it's sanded. That'll be shallow there. So make sure you pull it all the way through if there were a joint there. Let's see, Ray. I'm going to try the ceiling with this one just to show you. Again, it's the same concept. Put it up to the joint, box, squeeze the brake, hold the brake, and then just turn the box around and sweep off. Pretty easy. Same concept as the standard flat box. It just has a little more capacity in the tool. Okay? Good to go? We're going to run nail spotters now. So I'm going to move this along. Set this back on the table with our other handles. Let's see, Ray, can you come over here and see this? I'm just going to show how to attach this. So with the nail spotters, so part of the coating process is certainly the joints. We have to treat those. Those have recesses. The screws, typically screws or fasteners, they just have a small depression where the screw gun broke the paper of the drywall. Very little, hopefully they didn't break it too much. These boxes, these little nail spotters here, have blades. They have blades. They have the same opening. They don't have wheels. We have this little skid right here. They call this a skid, and this moves back and forth. This has to kind of move as you're moving along the wall. It adapts to how you're moving, putting pressure on it. So that has to move. That has to be flexible. The blade is fixed, so it puts the material on and scrapes it right back off. It doesn't build out. It doesn't leave. It has a very, very slight crown to it. It's very little, and it's just enough to leave right in the middle, right where the screw is, the material a little bit heavier, not much, okay? Usually people will run the 2-inch first and then the 3 twice, but I've seen lots of different ways. Some people run the 2 twice and the 3 once. Some people run the 3 many times, 3, 4 times. The challenge with running this more than twice is you build up edges and you have a lot of extra material. Even though it doesn't put up much, it is better than hand running your screws, because when you're doing it by hand, you leave too much material typically than what you need. This is just putting on enough to fill in the screw, okay? If your carpenters or your board hangers have left the screws out, and there's many of those, that's certainly an issue. This is a hardened steel. The blade is hard steel. It won't break easily, but it will nick eventually. So the only thing I can recommend in that is just have a talk with those guys, and some are going to be sticking out. It happens, right? But if they can maybe do a better job of putting the screws in to make your job easier, certainly not taking time, money out of your pocket, it helps. But these are widely used. They attach to an extendable handle. This is just a universal handle. It has the same tab lock. You can extend it out different lengths. Again, 4 lengths, same as the extender handle. And there's a thread here on the end, and I'm going to attach the 3, and we're just going to tighten this up. Turn it. Now, if you look on here, there's a wrench point, if you will. There's 2 flat spots on here that we can put a wrench on too. It's not round there, and we can snug this up so it doesn't come loose. So that's kind of important to see that. The 2-inch I'm going to leave. I'm just going to demo the 3. It has a pressure plate. I forgot to mention that. There's a pressure plate here that we push on with the springs that retract it. Now on this one, you leave the springs on. They're very soft springs. They're not really hard to push, and you need that to be able to open up the box to add more material. Okay, so this is just a pressure plate like the box. It's seated in the back here. It has these springs to kind of hold it in place, and a little arm right here to open it and to keep it closed. It's a closer. And it's a very easy tool to run. Down to the joint compound. So the joint compound for the box is probably too thin for the nail spotter. Usually you don't add little, if any, water to the material for the nail spotter. This one has been mixed. We added, I think, just very little, if any, just a little bit of water so it will slide, okay? Now, the pump, I'm going to switch it over. Now, the material in the pump is still for the box, so I need to change that out. So I'm just going to pump it back into this bucket just to get rid of it. And you just pump that out until you feel like you've got the thicker material. Maybe, there it goes, yep. So that one is now, the pump has material for the nail spotter, not for the box. We don't want to start out with thin material from the beginning. I think I can turn this sideways, Ray, maybe it's better for you. So again, we have the duckbill here. We have our opening to the box right here. And we just place that right into the duckbill and then fill it up. Again, it takes a little bit more the first time. There we go. It's full up, I think. Yep. Got enough in there. One thing about this nail spotter is it doesn't have a brake. it has a brake. It's called a friction brake. And the brake, basically the tool should stay at an angle that you adjust it. If it falls right down, you're going to have to adjust this little set screw right here in this nut. You can tighten it up just slightly. You don't want it too tight so it won't move, but it should move with a little pressure. Okay, so when you come off the wall, it should stay rigid. But there's a screw, a bolt, and a nut that you can tighten up a little bit if you need to adjust that. Sometimes they need adjusting. So friction brake is important with the nail spotter. Walk back. We're getting our exercise today. Ray didn't do his cardio yet, so when we're running a row of screws, I don't know, Ray, is this a better one here? Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to put the skid on the wall first, then the blade, and then go. You don't want to do the opposite. If you put the blade on first, you'll have extra material that come out. And I say 3 steps. I'll kind of walk you through it. So I'm going to adjust this by hand. I put the skid on the wall, then the blade, and then I move. Light pressure, not a lot, and then I sweep off. Okay? You can see it's just smooth. It's not putting any more material than what's needed to fill in the screws. Okay? Certainly if the screws are sticking out, you have to turn them in. You know, you don't want to have to, bump over those, but carry a screwdriver with you. Again, there's going to be some that are sticking out, right? Just turn them in. If you have to turn the box upside down, I'll try to do this backwards. You just place the box on the wall like this and sweep up. Okay? Again, if you're having to put more pressure than that, if you have to really push on it, mix your mud down just a little bit. Just add a little bit of water. Not too much, because if you put too much water, what will happen is these screw holes will shrink and you'll have to add extra coats. So a lot of people by hand, they put just straight material on there without mixing it. So you got to make sure it's filled in so that the fastener will shrink, but you want to fill it. Okay? Let me see. I can do one more row here, right? Can you see me here? Yeah. So again, if you're running it, you put the skid, the blade, pressure, and then just go. And then at the bottom, you just sweep off. Okay? You just basically sweep. And you can see how the tool ended. If I need to go back, I can just bend it back a little bit. It stays. It has to have that friction. If not, you have to adjust it. Okay? One thing you can do with the nail spotter too is during your process of finishing, if you have an edge, let's say we have an edge right here. We don't, but if we have one, we can go around and touch up these edges with the nail spotter. Just sweep them off. And you can build that out. Rather than go through with stilts or by hand, you can adjust this handle up, reach. You can do, if I'm trying to do a ceiling, let's just say I've got an edge right here. Can you see this good, Ray? So if I'm running a ceiling, I can just run this out, sweep it. If I have a little edge, I can actually go back with my skid and scrape that off. So it's a very handy multiple use tool, especially in angles. We have some customers in DC, Washington, DC area. The contractors like their angles really wide because of the dustless sanders. And the guys, Mark, well, we only make a 3.5-inch corner finisher, and that's about as wide as you need it because you're just filling tape. Unless you have a recess there, you don't really need to fill in that wide. But you can take the nail spotter and build it out a little bit. So if you come to the outer edge, let's say this corner here, and you just run this nail spotter and then just sweep it off, you can actually build this out quite a ways. Okay, so it's another touch-up tool. I'm just going to run a couple more screws here. I have these, sweep off. If you don't sweep off, let's say you do it wrong. If you do this, that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to have that extra material built up if you don't sweep off. Very easy to go back and just clean it off, just wipe it out, not a problem. Again, if I'm flipping this, I'm running it upside down. I can run it like so. I can turn around and run the other screw like that. Again, very easy. You're going to be cleaning this blade as you go. So it's not, again, we're running over paper. We have joint compound. You're going to have to clean that blade as you move along. The regular boxes have skids on the sides. Okay, the nail spotter is built into the body of the tool. So these aren't changed out. They can be taken off and removed, but they're pretty sturdy. The is what you change on this tool. So when this basically doesn't have an edge to it or it's worn, you just take it off. Again, we're going to do workshops on maintenance. There's here. Really just loosen those, pop a new one in. You can flip the blade. I've seen people flip blades over. If you get a nick on it and you don't have an extra blade, just flip it over. But this tool is really good. I really like this tool. For the reason is very little sanding. Again, I learned how to hand finish. I learned tools. You can run these with a knife, but you tend to put way more on than you need. You're just trying to fill in these little depressions. if that. The issue that we hear, to be honest, is that, you know, the screws are all sticking out. Well, they're going to be sticking out with this, or if you're doing it by hand. So you can fix them, and talk to your carpenter or your drywall hanger, finisher hanger, so it helps you out a little bit. It just, this tool is really going to help make you more money. Less sanding and faster. You can reach the ceiling. You don't have to do the screws from stilts or you can do it from the floor. You can touch up with it. It's a great touch-up tool. Again, if I run a corner, I'm just going to do a little bit of this one, Ray. I can run right down the corner, and I could actually build out my corner a little bit and touch it up. Or if I want it wider, I can come out to the edge a little bit more, over to here. So if your contractor wants a little wider corner for sanding, if they're the dustless sanders, the rotary, the circle sanders, you have a little more size there on that, just by touching them up, without having to run corners with a really wide knife. Again, varies. Some people do it different, but that's just an option for you on that. I think that's all I've got. I think that's my demo. Again, if you're running this nail spotter, one more thing that you want to do is you'll probably have a knife in your pocket. You probably want to carry a small knife. If you have something of an edge, you can just kind of clean it off. If you have a spot that's just, you know, touch up, you want to clean it off this way and clean it. But typically you're not carrying a pan with you. You just have a knife in your back pocket that you carry around this way. Okay? Walk over here to our wash station really quick. We're about ready to finish up. This is a great tool. It's a portable wash station. I know we talk about it, but it's just so handy for cleaning tools up, especially in the wintertime when it's cold out. You need a 5-gallon bucket of water. You have a circulating pump that's UL rated. It's very important because I had a guy tell me that he was going to make one. We don't recommend that because you have low voltage, you have a water source for safety and for certainly OSHA and some of the safety being near water, electricity. This is a UL rated pump for proximity to water. Again, you just turn this on. It's got a small little pump. You can clean, you know, you can rinse off. You can rinse off the tool. It has enough pressure to clean, but not so much pressure that you have water going everywhere. We have a shroud here to keep the backside, so you can actually set the tool back here and stand back from it and rinse off. You can clean your knives, you know, whatever you have, clean everything off. And it's got plenty of pressure. It's not meant to hold water, so there's actually a small pin over here. There's plugs for these, but they're not designed to be a soak tank. They're mainly used to rinse. The water goes back, it drains down into the bucket, and it's recycled back through into the hose, so you can rinse it off. But this is a great little system. It's portable. It folds up. It's got a handle here. You can carry it. It weighs about 34 pounds. It's very light, half the weight of a bucket of joint compound. So I had a customer he told me it was too heavy, and I said, wow, he was carrying 2 buckets of mud. I said, wow, you can carry this thing if you can carry 2 buckets of mud. So it's very light, portable. That's our wash station. It's available at the AMES stores. You can inquire. They got some good prices on that stuff now. Let's walk down here for a few more minutes and talk about the discount and wrap this up. The discount code for the day, I think, if we can show it right here, is Easy Clean. So Easy Clean is the word. If you send a message to the AMES team, the Facebook AMES team back at HQ, we're in the training center here, but they'll send you a message with the discount information, how you can get that. It's only good through this Friday, the 5th, through a certain time. So I think you can use it later than that, but you have to apply it or get the discount code by this Friday. And again, the word that you have to send is Easy Clean. Easy Clean is something that we like to talk to people about, make our tools easy to clean, because cleaning is something you got to do. You got to clean the tools. You got a little wash station to clean them. You got the way they open. We put a lot of thought into that, how you can clean those tools easily, because the work's hard enough. Cleaning them to use them for the next day is important. So the word is Easy Clean. Use that, and you'll get a discount. It's 10% discount. So if you're buying something, there's some exclusions. There's some things that aren't included in that discount, but the team will let you know. Easy Clean, 10% discount. It's pretty good. Any questions? Anything? Let me just step around behind here. Nothing? No? Nobody? No? No? We're good? Well, I'm gonna stop at this point. Reynaldo en español, Reynaldo Garza, he's going to be doing the demonstration that I just did in Spanish here at 10 o'clock. So we got little bit more than 1 hour. 1 hour Spanish version of the demo that I just did. Tune in. So if you want to watch it and see in Spanish, and again, I just want to say, we're doing both of our sessions in English and in Spanish. My partner Ronaldo, he does Spanish obviously, and I'm doing the English. So if you guys are watching and I'm English, tune into the Spanish one if that one's better for you. Certainly if you're English speaking and you want to watch mine, and you don't have to watch Ray's. You can watch them both. Hopefully you watch them both. You might learn something from both of us. We've been doing this for a long time. We love our job. We love you guys as our customers. Thanks for being customers. And I'm going to let you go. Mark Wilson with AMES Tools here in Suwanee. Stay tuned. We're going to be back tomorrow at the same times. I'll be doing the finish application on these joints. Box, mud runner, corner applicator, some neat tools. So see you tomorrow. Thanks.